Om Gananam Tva Ganapatigam Havamahe Kavim Kavinam Upamashravastamam Jyeshtarajam Brahmanam Brahmanaspata Shrunvannutibhis Dasadanam Shri Mahaganadipataye Namaha Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Sahana Bhavatu. We will say this also from today during this Kathopanishad class, because that is the prayer for, that is the Shanti mantra for this Krishna Yajurveda. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Ubhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Dear friends, we have to start this Kathopanishad today. We have completed this Shanti mantra and also the introductory commentary by Shri Shankaracharya. In the introductory commentary, Shankaracharya, he was explaining what is the meaning of Upanishad. Then he was also explaining Adhikari, Vishaya, Sambandha, Prayojana, and that Anubandha Chatushtayam he was explaining. Now we will straight go into the text today. And we have to read the first mantra. Before going into the first mantra, I can give a very brief picture of what this the first say Valli is going to say. This whole Kathopanishad is divided into two chapters. Prathamodhyaya, Dvitiyodhyaya. There are two adhyayas or two chapters. And in each adhyaya there are three parts which are called Valli. Valli actually means not a branch. It is actually a creeper which moves around, which goes around a tree, and then a small tree. There is a creeper which goes around a tree. This is a Valli, that is called a Valli. So anyway, it is smaller than a branch. So this Valli, there are three Vallis in each adhyaya, and each Valli has about 15 to 20 shlokas. So altogether there are about 130 shlokas. I have not counted. There are altogether about 130 shlokas. The structure is like this. It is like a sort of dialogue between a teacher and a student. Like Bhagavad Gita is a dialogue, it is a samvada. It is a samvada between Krishna and Arjuna. We know that samvada, what is samvada? There is what is called vada. Vada is a discussion among equals in order to establish the truth. Vada is basically it is a discussion, it is a sort of brainstorming session among equals where there is no personal agenda for anybody, and then those who want to establish the truth. So that is what is Vada. There is another type of discussion called Jalpa, where there are two people, each wants to dominate the other. That is called Jalpa. Each wants to dominate the other, each wants to establish his own theory. That is Jalpa. There is another worst type of discussion where the one person, he has no argument of his own, but he basically wants to say detract or denounce whatever the other man is saying. Whatever you say, I want to demolish. I have no theory of my own. So that is called Vitanda. Vada, Jalpa and Vitanda, these are the three types of arguments which we notice as per this Tarka Shastra, that is the logic. Then this Samvada is another thing. Sam is an Upasarga. Sam plus Vada is Samvada. Samvada is a discussion between a teacher and a student, where the student, he implicitly takes the master's word as an authority, as a pramana. But of course he questions. That is why we have read that Shanti mantra, Sahana Bhavatu, Sahana Ubhanaktu, Sahaviryam Karavavahi. It is not as though the student unquestioningly accepts what all the teacher says. There is a healthy discussion. Saha Viryam Karavavahi. That Viryam Karavavahi is possible only when there is some sort of healthy discussion. There is a sort of honest debate. And then the teacher has to clarify all the doubts which are there in the mind of a student. So this Samvada is here in this text, Kathopanishad. The Samvada is between Yama and Nachiketa. Yama, I was saying in the last class, Yama is he is a sort of personification. Let us say all our gods, they are not actually some people who are there stationed somewhere up in the sky. They are just personification of certain ideas. Yama is restraint, self-restraint. Yama niyama asana pranayama. Yama is self-restraint. And also he is the Lord of knowledge. He is also the Lord of, he is the person who gives this Brahma Vidya. He is a Brahma Vidyacharya. In fact, we read Om Namo Bhagavate Vaivasvataya Mrityave Brahmavidyacharya Nachiketa Secha. We read in that Sambandha Bhashyam of Shri Shankaracharya. Shankaracharya was addressing him as Vaivasvata. Vaivasvata is the son of Vivaswan, the son of sun god. Then the sun god is one person who directly received that Brahmavidya from say the Supreme Brahman. Then that is what we see in Gita also. Imam Vivasvate Yogam Proktavan Hamavyayam. Then Vaivasvataya Mrutyave Brahmavidyacharya. Then he says he is the Brahmavidya Acharya. He is the teacher of that Brahmavidya. He is the teacher of that supreme knowledge of Brahman. And then Nachiketa is the person who is said to have brought that Vidya to the mankind. So that is the say picture here. That is the arrangement here. And then this teacher and taught, they both are there. And then this student, his name is Nachiketa. He is still a boy, not even a full-fledged adolescent. He is still a boy. But in those days, even during boyhood, even before a person was an adolescent, he was very well versed in Vedas. That was the system in those days. The boys, at the age of 7 or so, they used to perform this Upanayana. And then the moment they perform Upanayana, he is put into that Brahmavidya. By the age of 13, 14, 15 or so, they used to be well versed in all the Vedas. And then besides, the person is brought up in that environment. So naturally he has some knowledge of Dharma Shastra and things like that. So this man, he is somebody who is having some superficial knowledge of what is Brahman. He might not have had all that Shravana Mana, he might not have had undergone that Nididhyasana and whatnot, but he has definitely done Shravanam. He has also done Mananam. That is what we will see in course of time. So this is the chap who is the student. And then the story, there is a small story which is linking up commencing the Upanishad. The story is like this. There is one gentleman called Vajasravasaha. Vajasravasaha is a person who is a very devoted ritualist, let us say, like most of the ritualists whom we see. He is a person who is very devoted to various rituals, and then he wants to perform he is doing some yajna. And the name of that yajna is Sarvajit Yagam. Sarvajit Yagam is, in order to conquer the whole world, he has to sacrifice what all he has. He has to first sacrifice what all he has in order to get what all he wants from the world. Conquer the whole world means what all he wants from the world. So that is the type of yaga which he is which he is doing. And then while doing it, so Sarva Veda Samdada, he has to give away what all possessions he has. So for that, maybe in those days how they were doing we do not know, because in one commentary we see that they used to apportion the property, some portion of the property to wife, some portion of the property to children, etc. And then he keeps some portion for himself, and that portion he totally gives away. But we are not very sure how it was being done, or whether the whole property he was giving away. But then he was giving away all the properties. So, but then while all the property, in those days what was the property? Mostly cows, etc. Some lands were there and some cows. And in those, while this Danam was going on, the sun watches. And all these old cows, etc., old decrepit cows, who have passed their prime. So those cows which are not again not in their, they have passed their reproductive stage, say maybe about 10 years or so, the cow, it has its reproductive period. After that, it is not fit for it is not in that reproductive period. So such old cows which are not going to again conceive and then give birth to calves, so such cows they were being given. And then this man, this young boy, so he felt rather guilty. Like a young child, if he sees his parents doing something wrong, and then the child knows that what the parent is doing something wrong, because he has been taught in the classroom that you should not do this, you should not do that, and all that. And then sometimes there are also some sort of instructions. If your father is taking a bribe, you have to point out that he should not take a bribe. In fact, recently Abdul Kalam has started some movement like that, where he goes and addresses all children. If you see that your parents do not do this, your parents do not do that, etc. So something like that, the boy who is also well versed in Vedas, who is also well versed in this Dharma Shastra, so he finds that his father is doing something wrong, which is something which is insincere. So then he wants to point out, oh father, what you are doing is something wrong. You are supposed to give away your best cows when you are giving, when you are doing some dhanam or doing some donation. Then you have to give what is useful for the other man. You are not supposed to give what is useless for the other man. So this boy feels guilty, and then he points out to his father. And he points out in such a way that he doesn't directly say like that. He says, he asks his father, oh, to whom are you going to donate me? To whom are you going to donate me? So which implies that, okay, you are not giving what is expected of what you are supposed to do. But then you are giving away some useless things. At least you donate me so that I can be of some use to the other person, and that will get you some punyam. Because if you give away some useless things, you are not going to get punyam. If you give something which is really useful to the other person, then you will get some punyam. So he asked his father, to whom are you going to give me? So the father initially ignored. The father said, okay, this young boy, he is trying to be funny, he is trying to point out that what I am doing is wrong. So he ignored. Then second time he asked, and then second time he frowned, and his father frowned and kept quiet. Then again, the third time also he asked. Then the father really got angry, and then he lost his temper, and then said, okay, I will give you to that Yama. Go and see Yama. So that is what he said. Then the boy, he starts thinking, oh, why, how is it that my father lost temper, and then he told like this, and then what is it that I am going to do with Yama? What sort of service can I do to Yama? I don't know what my father expects from me. I don't know what exactly he expects from me when he wants to send me to this Yamaloka. So okay, let me do as my father says, and let my father's word be honored. And my father, in fact, when the father says something, his father's word has to be honored, and that father's word should not be falsified. His word should become truth. His words should stand as a satyam. So that is why he says, okay, he again takes leave of his father and goes to Yamaloka. Once he goes to Yamaloka, at that particular time, Lord Yama was not there, because this Lord Yama, as we know, he is in charge of all the monitoring all the activities of the people, and then see who is doing good and who is doing bad, and record all the good deeds and bad deeds, etc. So he is of that type. So this gentleman, he was away on tour. For some reason he was away for 3 days, and then for 3 days this Nachiketa was just waiting at the door of Yama, and then there was nobody to receive him. And then probably we do not know what exactly was the protocol. So anyway, he stayed outside at the gate of the Yama, and then he did not have food for 3 days and nights. So at the end of 3 days, then Yama returns to his home, and then he sees this boy who is waiting. He is a good student, and a very, very sincere Veda student, and then a very honest, sincere student. And then a person who deserves respect, a person who deserves to be honored, a person who deserves to be treated well. So such a man, he is waiting at the door without having food. So Yama also feels bad. I will get papam for not having treated this boy properly, for not taking care of this boy. So then he says, okay, I am sorry that I was away, and then for 3 days and nights you were there without any hospitality. So I want to give you 3 boons, because you were there waiting for 3 days. I will give you 3 varam. Varam is whatever you want to choose. Whatever you want to choose, I will give. That is called a boon. Okay, I will give you 3 varam. Then, okay, this boy, he thinks, and then he says, okay, my father, he was actually angry with me, and then in a fit of anger, he has sent me here. So you please see that, and Yama, of course, he also says, you are not yet ready to come to Yamaloka. Your life is still very, very long. You have still got a long life. You are not there to, stay here only in Yamaloka. You have to go back. Then he says, okay, when I go back, my father should not feel angry with me. My father should be like earlier, as he was loving me and very, very, friendly with me and loving me. So he should be in the same manner. And then that is the first varam. Okay, Yama says, okay, it is granted. Then the second varam is, that is about regarding the, the fire ritual. You see, there is what is called this yajna, this in the type of yajna which people perform. He wants knowledge of a particular type of yajna. Then he wants to know how that yajna has to be performed so that people will get punya lokas. So that is exactly not for himself, that is for all others. Because Nachiketa is already a boy who is fairly well read in the Vedas, etc. So he also knows the limitations of all these rituals, but still he asks a knowledge of this particular yajna for the sake of humanity, for the sake of other people. So Yama says, okay, I am also granting this, you take it. Then Yama feels happy that this boy is a very, very deserving boy, and then he is learning what all he says. That yajna means all that process he must have explained, and that process this boy is sharp enough to grasp. And then after seeing this boy very sharp and grasping and then very obedient, Yama also feels happy, and then he gives a big magic garland to him. So you take this garland will give you what all you want. This whatever desires you want, this garland will give you. Srunka metam gruhana. Srunka is actually a string, some sort of string of boons, let us say. Whatever you want, that string or that garland gives. Then there is a third varam which is remaining. And in that third varam, this Nachiketa, he asks about Brahma Vidya. So when a jiva, his life is over, and when he is supposed to go to the next world, then what happens at that time? What is the meaning of a jiva? Then when he asks about the nature of jiva, he is obviously asking about the nature of the self also. He is obviously asking about the nature of the Supreme Self. When he is asking about his own self, he is naturally asking about the Supreme Self also. So that is why, in other words, he is asking for Brahma Vidya. So Yama, he is perplexed that this small boy, he is not happy with whatever has been given, and then he is asking for the supreme knowledge. Then this supreme knowledge cannot be given without testing a person properly. So then he gives all types of allurements. He says, okay, I am giving you all these lands, I am giving you all this wealth which is supposed to be there on earth, I am giving what all you want, I am giving not only wealth, I am whatever damsels you want, whatever women you want, okay, you take all these things, he says. So with all these things he says, no, I am not for these things, I don't want all these things, but I am only wanting Brahma Vidya. I only want Brahma Vidya. Then again Yama says, even gods, they find it difficult, how can you take it? Okay, when you say that even gods, they want to have it, then that is the most desirable thing. When you say that gods are supposed to be very powerful people. When they themselves want this Brahma Vidya, when they themselves are in a queue in order to know this Brahma Vidya, then I should be naturally interested. So I don't want anything more other than that. So you please give that to me. So after testing the suitability of the student, Yama also feels convinced that this boy is really fit enough. And then this man, he has got that vairagya. So for adhikari, for Vedanta Shastra adhikari, what is required? That adhikari sadhana chatushtaya sampatti is required. Nitya nitya vastu viveka, what is real and what is unreal. Shamadhi shatka sampatti, mumukshutvam, all those things. Then these things he is supposed to have. So he examines on all those points, he examines, and then he feels satisfied that this boy, he is somebody who is having some self-restraint, who is having all that Shamadhi Shatka Sampatti, and that Mumukshutvam, that desire, deep desire for moksha, it is very much there. He is not for all these worldly pleasures. So after deciding or after satisfying himself about the genuineness of the student, then he starts teaching Brahma Vidya. That starts from the second adhyayam. This second Valli, third Valli onward. Second Valli also is in praise of this Brahma Vidya. From third Valli again, he starts narrating. So likewise, in the second Adhyaya, the same thing continues. So that is the broad structure of this Upanishad. So in the beginning, there is a small story, some small drama. And then after that, naturally we will get into the philosophical discussion as we see in Bhagavad Gita. Okay, let us read this first mantra. Om Ushanha Vai Vajashravasah Sarvaveda Samdadau Tasya Nachiketa Nama Putra Asa. Okay, that's all. Okay, Ushanha Vai Vajashravasah. I will first explain the meaning. Vajashravasah is the name of the person who is the father of Nachiketa. Vajashravasah means the son of Vajasrava. Vajasrava also means it has got a meaning. Vajam means annam. Vajam means food. Shravaha is fame. Vajasrava is one who has acquired fame by giving food to lot many people. He has acquired fame by giving a lot of annadanam, by doing a lot of annadanam. So there are some people who also have that family name, Annadanam, etc. So like that, he is a person who has been giving food to all people, and then because of that he got fame. His son is Vajashravasah. Then he did that Sarvaji Diyaga, and then Sarva Vedasam Dadau. Sarva Vedasam, that is what all money he had, Dadau, he gave away. Ushan, how did he give away? Ushan Havai. Ushan means desiring punyam, desiring some fruit. So, desiring some fruit, Ushan Havai. Havai is actually, there are two what we call avyaya. You know what is an avyaya? These are two indeclinable particles, indeclinable things. In avyaya you must be knowing. Indeclinable is something which does not get affected by linga, vachana, vibhakti, etc. Rama, the word is there. Ramaha, Ramau, Ramaha, it is getting affected. Then some other thing, Phalam, Phale, Phalani. So like that they are declined. So indeclinable is something which is not, which does not undergo any modification, whether it is in what lingam it is there, Pumlinga, Strilinga, Napumsakalinga, Vachanam, Ekavachana, Dvivachana or Bahuvachana, Vibhakti or any Vibhakti, Prathama to Saptami Vibhakti, any Vibhakti, they don't undergo any change. So that is why they are called indeclinables, which do not undergo any change. So these Havai, they mean just in the sense they are used to recall the story. Oh, don't you know that there was one gentleman like this? So the tone of this, the tone of this line is like that. Oh, don't you recall that there was a fellow, there was a chap called Vajashravasah, and then he gave away all these things, desiring to have punya, desiring to have this that fruit of that action. So, Ushanhavai Vajashravasah Sarvavedasam Dadau Tasyaha again, oh, it seems, Tasyaha, the word ha is again another nipata or another avyaya, which means, oh, it seems, like that. It seems he also had a son called Nachiketa. So, that is the meaning. So, what you see here is the very opening words of this Upanishads, they are critical of this Kamya Karma. If you notice this, Ushanha Vai Vajashravasah, the very word, Ushan, desiring. Oh, the very word is saying, desiring the fruit of action. This man is giving this donation. So, this very words, opening word is very significant, which we see that the Kamya Karma, it is not the Kamya Karma which is commended by the Veda, it is a Nishkama Karma which is commended by the Veda. Kamya Karma is, maybe it will give you some result, but that is of binding in nature. And then it is the Nishkama Karma which is going to lead you to Chitta Shuddhi. So for those who are newly coming to this, say, Kathopanishad class, who have not heard this, say, Gita Bhashyam, those who have heard Gita Bhashyam, they know what is a Nitya Karma, what is Kamya Karma, etc. But for people who have newly joined, I may explain that there are three types of karmas. That is Nitya Karma, those activities which have to be compulsorily done by everybody in the society. That is Sandhya Vandanam, that is early in the morning and afternoon and again in the evening there is a particular drill, there is a particular prayer. So that Sandhya Vandanam, that particular prayer is something which is related to Brahma Vidya. It is related to the knowledge of the self. There again, 3 times a day, a person, he is seeing Aditya, and then apparently he is looking at Aditya, and then he is visualizing Brahman in that Aditya, and he is also visualizing, he is also realizing that he is the same Brahman who is there in that Aditya. Brahmaiva san brahmapyeti sa evam Veda, that mantra says. So Sandhya Vandanam is a spiritual exercise which every person is supposed to do 3 times a day, where he recalls that he is none other than that Supreme Self. So that is the type of upasana which he does. That is the closest thing to the Brahma Vidya. That is something which makes a man mature over a period of time, and then that is what makes a man to come on to this path of this Brahma Vidya. So that is Nitya Karma is something like that, Sandhya Vandana. Yeah, then there are what are called Pancha Mahayajnas. Pancha Mahayajnas are, you have to Pitru Yajna, you have to honor your forefathers, and then Deva Yajna, you have to worship gods. Then Atithi Yajna, you have to give food to all these Atithis. So like that there are certain compulsory duties. Then the second way of doing a karma is a Kamya Karma, where you expect some result, where you expect some punyam. We are not talking about the secular karma. We are not talking about going to office and getting a salary. We are not talking about secular karma. We are talking about ritual, in the sense that a ritual which is going to get you some punyam, which is going to give you some phalam either in this life or after life. So that is what is karma. So this karma is, Kamya Karma is a situation where you are desiring the fruit. Then there is another level which is called Nishkama Karma. Nishkama Karma is you do your action as a matter of duty. You do it as a matter of duty. You do it as an order from the Lord. You do it as your commitment to the Samashti. Samashti, individual is called a Vyashti. Individual is called a Vyashti. And the whole cosmos, the whole society, which is again is a small part of the cosmos, that is called the Samashti. So if to that Samashti, what is your contribution? This Dharma Shastra, the Veda dictates to you as to what you are supposed to do for the society. And all these rituals, all these Yajna, Yaga, all these things, they are meant to help others only. They are meant for social stability, for social cohesion, for social harmony. And as Shankaracharya and as Lord Krishna says repeatedly in Gita, it is called Loka Sangraha. Loka Sangraha is that social harmony, social cohesion. So for the sake of that society, you are supposed to do your duty. So basically our Vedas, they insist on a person doing his job first, doing his duty first. So there is no mention of our rights. Because nowadays we only talk about our rights, we do not talk about our duties. Whereas the Vedas talk about our duties, you have to compulsorily do your duties. So if everybody does the duties, then the rights of every fellow is taken care of. The rights of everybody are taken care of when everybody is doing his duty. If you are doing some dhanam, if you are doing suppose you are doing a ritual, you are performing a yajna. As part of the yajna, you are supposed to donate, you are supposed to give away a lot of, you may have to do so many types of dhanam, bhudanam, godhanam, hiranyadanam, this, that and whatnot. So all this is taking care of social stability, social harmony. So when somebody is there who is not having food, you are giving food. You are supposed to see that nobody should go without food. So that was the law. So when that is so, everybody's right is taken care of. And our system says a man is supposed to have what he can eat, whatever his tummy full. Yavad bhriyeta jatharam tavat swantam hi dehinam. Only that much is yours, which is going to fill your stomach. And beyond that, if you accumulate, you are a thief. That is what it says. Yavat bhriyeta jatharam tavat swantam hi dehinam. You are not supposed to be greedy. You are supposed to accumulate or have only that much which is going to give you some food, assured food, and that's all. And beyond that, if you want to accumulate, you are a thief. Then we don't require any communist or anybody to come and teach any lessons lessons on this, because once we are doing our duty as told by this dharma, then everybody's rights are taken care of. So anyway, we are coming back to duties. There are nitya karmas. There are certain kamya karma. In between there are what are called naimittika karmas. Naimittika karma is suppose somebody is getting married or some upanayanam is there. So there is a ritual. It is called they are called the rites of passage. So when at a time of marriage or a child is born, so then again a special ritual is there. So like that they are depending on the nimitta, depending on the occasion. They are the occasional karmas. So like that, these are the karmas. But then kamya karma, a person is permitted to do, because if Veda does not prescribe even kamya karmas, then a man will be free to do any action. A man will be free to do any prohibited action also. So Veda says this is what is nishiddha, this is what is prohibited. You can do all these things in order to get prosperity in life. That is abhyudaya. Abhyudaya is having prosperity in this life. So, but then at some point of time you have to come out of this and then see, and then you have to know what is your real self. To some point of time, okay, you underdo, you go all these rituals, you do all these rituals, and then you say whatever religion says and whatnot. But then after some time, you have to come out of this, and then you should know what you are. So that is what this says. So that is why the very words, opening words, are rather critical of this kamya karma. So let us read Bhashyam. Tatra akhyayika vidya stutyartha. This akhyayika means a story. This akhyayika, now this small story of Yama and Nachiketa, some dialogue and whatnot, it is basically to commend. Stutyartha, stuti means praise. Basically to emphasize the greatness of this knowledge, emphasize the greatness of this Brahma Vidya. Then, Ushan kamayamanaha hava iti vruttartha smaranarthau nipatau. So Ushan is kamayamanaha. Kamayamanaha is desiring. Desiring. Kama, you know, kama is desire. Kamayamanaha is one who is desiring. Kamayamanaha actually means one who is desiring. Then hava iti vruttartha smaranarthau nipatau. Hava, ha and va, they are two indeclinable words, which are basically meant for vruttartha smaranarthau, just to remind whatever has been past. It is not a contemporary story. We have to imagine that some two people are talking to each other, whereas one fellow is, and in which one fellow is telling the other, oh, don't you recall that there was a chap called Vajasravasa, and then, oh, it seems he had a son named, say, Nachiketa. So that is the tone in which this conversation is going on. Vruttartha smaranartha. Vrutta artham means that is a past event, an event which has gone by. Vruttartha smaranarthau nipatau. Vajam annam tad danadi nimittam shravaha yashaha yasya saha vajashrava. Rudhitova tasya apatyam vajashravasah kila. Okay. Vajam annam. Vajam, I said, vajam means annam. Tat danadi nimittam shravaha. He got a fame because of feeding lot many people, because of giving food, doing lot many annadanams. Tat danadi nimittam shravaha yashaha yasya saha. He got a lot of fame because of that, distribution of food. So that man is Vajashrava. Or otherwise, Rudhitova. Somebody may say, somebody's name may be Annadanam Satyanarayana, but then he may not be giving food to anybody. So, Rudhitova, by force of usage. By force of usage also, somebody may say Daya Sagar, name may be there. But then he is a highly merciless fellow. Daya Sagar is ocean of mercy. But then he may be a highly merciless fellow. So like that, Rudhitova. Rudhi means a force of, by the force of usage. Rudhi. A word's usage, Rudhi is there. Rudhyartha is something different than Yaugikartha. Any word, there are two types of meanings. One is a Yaugikartha and one is a Rudhyartha. For example, you take a word called Pankaja. Pankajam, what is Pankajam? Pankaja is a lotus. Pankaja is lotus. Panka actually means mud. Pankaja is born out of mud. So when you say Pankaja, and if you go to etymological meaning, it can mean even an insect, it can mean some other, say some dirty thing. But then Pankaja, the Rudhyartha, by use, in usage, the word means lotus. So Rudhi, we have to know. Rudhyartha and Yaugikartha. Yaugikartha is by taking out the etymological sense, that the root, what is the root and how that with what another say upasarga or whatever it is combining, and how that meaning is derived. So the derivation is called Yaugikartha. So here Rudhitova Shankaracharya says it may be because his father really got fame like that, or it may be by sheer usage. Then tasya apatyam vajasravasah kila vishwajita sarvamedhena. Let us read. Vishwajita ije tat phalam kamayamanaha. Okay, tasya apatyam. Apatyam means son. Tasya apatyam, that Vajasravas son, Vajasravasah. Kila means it seems. This chap did one. Vishwajita sarvamedhena. Vishwajita means by this Vishwajit yaga. It is also called sarvamedha. Medha, medha means offering something to the, say, into the fire. Sarvamedha means offering everything into the fire. Of course, he is not throwing everything into the fire, he is donating all those things. And then there are certain things which of course, symbolically they are put into the fire, whereas he gives away what all possessions he has. He is not going to burn away all those things. Sarvamedhena, Ije means he did that yajna. Then tat phalam kamayamanaha. So that is the significant thing, that he was desiring that fruit of that action. Then sa tasmin kratau sarva vedasam sarvasvam dhanam dadau dattavan tasya yajamanasya Nachiketa nama putraha kila asa babhuva. Okay, sa tasmin kratau. Sa, that Vajasravasaha. Tasmin kratau means in that yajna. What did he do? Sarva vedasam, that is sarvasvam dhanam. What all money he had, he gave away. What all money he had, what all possessions. Dhanam means not only money. We only talk about money now. In olden days, dhanam is, it also cattle wealth, all types of, say suppose he is having a lot of grain, food grain in his house, some huge store of food grain, all those food grains he has to give away. Lot of cattle he has, all those cattle he has to give away. So like that. Sarvasvam dhanau dattavan, tasya yajamanasya ha means, it seems, tasya yajamanasya, to that man, Nachiketa nama putra asa babhuva. One boy by name Nachiketa was there. He was his son. Next mantra. Tagum hakumaragum santam dakshinasu niyamanasu shraddha vivesha somanyata. So he says, Tagum hakumaram santam. That boy, even though he was a boy, kumaram santam. So that is what it means. Kumaram santam means even though he was a boy. Of course, usually this Shraddha, etc., all these things, they appear only when you become slightly elderly. Only when you mature and only when you mature. But then, if a boy is really sincere, if a boy is really, say, receiving the education properly, that Shraddha comes right from the young age. Shraddha, a young boy, suppose he is listening to all the teachings of his teacher, then naturally he absorbs what is the essence of the teaching, and then he knows the value system. So that is why he is a person who knows that he has understood the significance of dhanam, he has understood the significance of ritual, and then he is a person who is, even though he is not yet an adolescent, even though he is still a small, he is a boy, maybe in his 13, 14, that age, then dakshinasu niyamanasu, that is, while this dakshina is to all these Ritviks and all these people, you have to give various donations. Sometimes in terms of money, cash, in terms of gold, in terms of say some other wealth, all these things are dakshina. There is bhudanam, godanam, hiranyadanam, all these things are dakshinas. Dakshina is something which is donated. So while they were being brought out and given, niyamanasu, so some servant or somebody, okay, to this gentleman you bring some 10 cows. So that servant goes and brings some 10 cows. Niyamanasu means while they were being brought and distributed. While they were being brought and he is simply watching. So there are so many Ritviks and so many Pandits who are standing there. And then he is telling his servants, okay, to this gentleman you go and get 6 cows. okay, to this gentleman you go and get another 6 cows. So while they were being led to be given to all these people, Dakshinasu Niyamanasu Shraddha Avivesha. This Shraddha, the sense of, some deep sense of Shraddha, that is devotion, that sincerity, that overwhelmed him. Avivesha. Avesha, we know. He is in that Kopa Avesha, we say. So that is, he is overcome with anger. He is overwhelmed by anger. Here he is overwhelmed by sincere devotion. He is overwhelmed by serious Shraddha. The Shraddha is a very important concept in our system. In fact, this Rigveda has a Suktam also called Shraddha Suktam. I know one Suktam, there may be other Suktams also, I am not sure. There is the 10th mandala of Rigveda, there is what is called a Shraddha Suktam. And about this Shraddha, then even Brihadaranyaka Upanishad also makes a mention. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad actually says, Shraddha Vittaha Samahito Bhutva Atmanyeva Atmanam Pashyet. This is Brihadaranyaka, that is the 4th, Adhyaya. 4th Adhyaya, 4-4-23, 23rd mantra. So that is 4th Brahmana, 4th Adhyaya, 4th Brahmana, 23rd mantra. This is Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. The mantra says, Shraddha Vittaha Samahito Bhutva Atmanyeva Atmanam Pashyet. So if you want to see Atma, if you want to realize your own self, then what is the type of journey you have to do? In that journey, what is the cash, what is the money, or what is the wealth you are supposed to have? Suppose I want to go to some Benares or some such place. I need some money. I need some air travel, some money for air travel, and then I need some money for a taxi. I need some money to stay in a hotel. I need some money to give to some for performing puja, etc. All this vittam is required. Then, like that, for knowing the self, what is the vittam? What is the money that is required? It is the Shraddha that is the vittam. Shraddha vittaha. Shraddha vittaha means one who is having Shraddha as his possession, as his money, as his say bank balance. So Shraddha is the bank balance which one has to have in order to go in the path of self-knowledge. Shraddha vittaha samahito bhutva. Samahitaha. Samahitaha is samyak samadhi. One who has one who is in that samadhi is samahitaha. Samahita means one who has attained that state of samadhi. Samadhi is what? Concentration. It is not, we are not referring to the Patanjali type of samadhi. This is concentration. Buddhehe nishchalatvam. Buddhi, mind is focused, mind is concentrated. Samyak adhiyate manaha iti samadhihi. That is, mind is properly concentrated, mind is properly kept focused on this thing alone, and not, it is not getting distracted, it is not getting diverted. So that is the position here. So Shraddha Vittaha Samahito Bhutva Atmanyeva Atmanam Pashyet. And this Atma has to be say searched, not outside. Atma has to be searched in your own self. So in your own self you have to locate that Atman. So that is what that Brihadaranyaka Upanishad there says. And in another place the same Upanishad says, Shraddha iti Satyanama. Shraddha, the meaning of Shraddha is Shrat Dadhati iti Shraddha. Shrat means truth. Shrat iti Satyanama. Shrat is truth. Shrat Dadhati iti Shraddha. So that is that dedication to reality. Shrat Dadhati, the person who is in that path, one who is dedicated to that, one who is devoted to that. That dedication to duty or devotion to, sorry, not duty, dedication to reality, dedication to or devotion to reality. So that commitment to reality, commitment to truth, that is what is Shraddha. So this man, this boy, he has seen from the Vedic mantras, he has learnt from the Vedic mantras, at least when he probably went to a good Gurukulam, he went to a good Gurukulam, and then, and the system in those days was that even if the father was a scholar, he used to send the boy to another teacher. He himself was not teaching. He used to send to another fellow, another guru for learning Vedas. Probably this Vajasravas also sent this Nachiketa to some other guru. And then probably that some other guru is some really competent man who inculcated all good values in the mind of this boy. So this boy, he recalled what is the meaning of Dhanam. Dhanam, in fact, about Dhanam, there are so many lines. In fact, Taittiriya Upanishad says how Dhanam has to be given. There is a famous passage in Taittiriya Upanishad which is often repeated when you go to temples. Veda manuchyacharyon vasina manushasti. Have you heard about it? Whenever you, in some meetings etc., when you ask some Veda Pandit to come and recite some Veda mantra, so he will come and recite this. Mostly I have heard, very often they are very fond of this thing. It is again a very good instruction. It is actually a very good moral instruction. In Taittiriya Upanishad 11th Anuvaka, the first Valli, Shiksha, first Valli, this 11th Anuvaka. It starts like this: Veda manuchyacharyon vasina manushasti satyam vada dharmam chara. So that one. So they repeat. So in that there is a mention about this dana. How dhanam has to be given. Shraddhaya deyam, ashraddhaya deyam, shriya deyam, hriya deyam, bhiya deyam, samvida deyam. There are so many conditions. There are so many, with such an attitude, with such a frame of mind, you have to give dhanam. What is that frame of mind? Shraddhaya deyam. You have to give with utmost shraddha, with utmost devotion. Dhanam is something where there are, the person, it again depends on the, maturity of the person, how he looks at dhanam. A person who is still immature, a person who is not, who has not done Shravanam, Mananam, etc. So from his point of view, dhanam means, so he feels, yes, this is my possession, this is a very, very valuable possession. I am giving it to this gentleman and he will be benefited by that. So there is one thing called, this is a very valuable thing. That Mahatva Buddhi. Mahatva Buddhi is, this is very valuable. Then this is something which is mine. Mamatva Buddhi. And so this Mahatva Buddhi and Mamatva Buddhi are there in a person. And then he gives, he feels he is doing a great favor to the other man, he is helping the other man. So this is at a preliminary level where this chap is still immature, a person who is not in that sadhana path, who is still a ritualist, he is a mere ritualist who is not in the sadhana path. So this Mahatva Buddhi and Mamatva Buddhi is there. When he enters into that Mamatva, when he enters by chance, when he enters that, say, this path of knowledge, then he wants to do it as a Nishkama Karma. Nishkama Karma, okay, this is my duty. It is my duty to give away. So that is the second stage. It is my duty to give to the other man as part of my duty, as part of my responsibility to the samasti, I am giving this thing. So that is at the stage of Nishkama Karma. Then again, if he again becomes a Jnani, we have seen that line in Bhagavad Gita, Sami Krute Vinashtepi Kame, one very famous line is there. So while he is in the path of ritual, at some point of time, wisdom dawns on him. So at that stage, he feels, Hare, what is this? Kasyasvid dhanam, he feels. Of whose is this? This is, okay, I am giving it away. That dhanam becomes a tyagam. It is no longer dhanam, it becomes tyagam. Tyagam means he has attained that tyaga buddhi. Tena tyaktena bhunjitaha, we saw in Ishavasya. Tena tyaktena bhunjitaha is, of whose is money? What after all is money? So to that extent he grows. He is enlightened. He is more enlightened than the earlier two people. So at an unenlightened stage, he is having a Mahatva Buddhi and Mamatva Buddhi. A slightly better stage, he comes to Nishkama Karma. At a slightly more enlightened stage, he becomes a Tyaga. So these are the stages. That is that Parityaga. So then it has whose money is this? So it has never been mine. So that is it. It has never been mine. So with that attitude, he gives that, he does that Tyaga. So this Nachiketa is somebody who is knowledgeable about Veda, who knows what that Veda says, Shraddhaya Deyam, Ashraddhaya Adeyam. It also says you should not give money with Ashraddha, you should not do dana with Ashraddha. Then what else? Shriya Deyam. Shriya Deyam means you should give it, not a petty thing, not paltry thing. You should give fairly sizable thing. Shriya, suppose you have some 100 rupees. You should not give half rupee or 4 annas. You have to give maybe 10 rupees or something there. Some reasonable thing you have to give. If not 50 rupees. Then Shriya Deyam, then Hriya Deyam. Hri is then with a sense of modesty. Hri is another word which is sense of modesty. So after all, I am just giving something. It is not a great thing. but still I am giving it. So with that is the sense of modesty. What is this? What I am giving is really something very small. With that sense of modesty, he has to give. Hriyadeyam, Samvidadeyam, with a good, in a friendly environment, in a friendly atmosphere, he has to give. Not as though, some fellow has come asking for donations, I have to get rid of this fellow, and then somehow I have to. So that is. So instead of that, you have to give with a very positive mind, you have to give with a very friendly mind. So Samvidadeyam. So these are the things which have been told. It again depends on the type of maturity the other man has. If the fellow does not have maturity, he will behave like that ritualist in that first level. The second level, he will do it as a nishkama karma. The third level, he is a really enlightened level where he feels, yes, this is my, this has never been mine. So with that point of view, he donates. So anyways, this boy, he is somebody who knows what is dhanam. So that is why the Shraddha overwhelmed him. This feeling of Shraddha, this feeling of devotion, this overwhelmed this gentleman. This Shraddha Suktam, I was also referring to that Rigveda. It is a Suktam which is having about 5 mantras, where the Shraddha is personified as a goddess. Shraddha is personified as a goddess, basically where the purity of heart, honesty and integrity, they are the things which characterize. And those mantras, if you see, they are really beautiful. And every day, morning and evening, a person is supposed to recite that Shraddha Suktam. That was the dictate in those times. Okay, let us see this Bhashyam. Tagamha Nachiketasam Tamha Nachiketasam Kumaram Prathama Vayasam Santam Aprapta Prajanana Shaktim Balameva Shraddha Astikya Buddhihi Pitur Hitakama Prayukta Avivesha Pravishtavati. Okay, Tamha Nachiketasam. So that Nachiketa, Kumaram Prathama Vayasam Santam. Though the chap is still not even in his teens, he is just Prathama Vayasu. Prathama Vayasu is he is just in his teens, let us say. In his teens, Aprapta Prajanana Shaktim, he has not even reached the marriageable age. Aprapta Prajanana Shakti. He is a person who has not yet reached even the marriageable age. So obviously must be around 13, 14, around that time. So from 7th year to 13th year, for about 6-7 years, this man has studied Veda, and then he has imbibed all those values. So that is the state of this boy. And also appears to be a rather intelligent boy, a very precocious child who knows, who has studied the subject very well. Then Aprapta Prajanana Shaktim Balameva. So he is still a boy. Shraddha Astikya Buddhihi. Shraddha, the meaning given by Shankaracharya is Astikya Buddhi. That is, basically Astikya Buddhi means, we are not referring to Astika, Nastika here. Astika, Nastika, they have separate meanings in Vedanta, in our tradition. Astika is what? One who believes in the authority of the Vedas, that branch, that is called Astika Buddhi. Then one who does not believe in the authority of the Veda is an Astika. So here we need not take it in that manner. Astikya Buddhi means sense of devotion, sense of honesty, sense of purity, pure purity of thought. So that Pituhu Hitakama Prayukta. Then this Astikya Buddhi also, in what way it has come? Pituhu Hitakama Prayukta. Basically in the interest of his father. In the interest of his father only. Like I was telling about the nature of a young boy who may point out to his father, "Father, don't take bribe." So like that, Hitakama Prayukta. Basically in the interest of his father's, in the interest of his father. Hitakama, Pituhu Hitakama Prayukta, Avivesha Pravishtavati. That Shraddha, Shraddha entered this boy. Pravishtavati means it entered. It entered means it overwhelmed him. Shraddha overwhelmed. Sometimes you are overwhelmed with anger. Sometimes you are overwhelmed with pity. So here in this particular context, when this boy saw all these old decrepit cows being led by servants to be given to all these Brahmins, So this person, he was actually overwhelmed with Shraddha. Arey, what is it my father is doing? So that is what he thought. Then Dakshinasu Niyama. Okay, Avivesha Pravishtabati. Kasmin Kale Ityaha.
Kasmin Kale Ityaha.
At what time? At time was it? Is being told. At Kasmin Kale means at what time? How did it start? Then Rutvigभ्यः Sadasyebhyascha Dakshinasu Niyamanasu Vibhagena Upaniyamanasu Dakshinarthasu Goshu Sa Avishta Shraddhaha Nachiketa Amanyata. Okay. So here, while Rutvigभ्यः Sadasyebhyascha. So there are two types, 5 minutes only. Okay, there are two types of people, Rutviks and Sadasyas. Rutviks are those who actually participate in that ritual. Say one man is Udgata and another man sings Samavedam, another man sings recites Rigveda. So like that there are some people. And then there is another man who is a Brahma who is overseeing all this activity. So there is a system there. So in addition to that there are some other Pandits. So they are Sadasyas. Sadasya are people, those who are in that meeting, in that Yajna Sabha. So those other people who are assisting, all those other scholars. So for Ritviks, maybe some more dakshinas are given. For others, some less dakshina is given. So depending on their level of participation, let us say, depending on their level of participation, some dakshinas were being given to them. Sadasyebhyascha Dakshinasu Niyamanasu. While those dakshinas, they were being led. Dakshinas means all those cows, etc., they were being led, brought near. Vibhagena Upaniyamanasu. Vibhagena, that is by dividing. Okay, these 3 are for this gentleman, these 6 are for this gentleman, these so and so are this for this gentleman. So like that, Vibhagena, here they were just by divided, and then Upaniyamanasu, they were all being brought near, these people. And then probably they used to touch that cow, and then they used to, then this man used to pour some water, and then water into his hands, and then say Namama, etc. That was some Dhanam procedure is there. So while that is being done, Dakshinarthasu Goshu. So for the sake of Dakshina, this Goshu Niyamanasu means while the cows were being led there, Goshu Niyamanasu, it is called Sati Saptami. So while the cows were being led there, Sa Avishta Shraddhaha Nachiketa Amanyata. So Avishta Shraddhaha. So that is Shraddha Avivesha we read. So the one who is overwhelmed by Shraddha is called Avishta Shraddhaha. Sa Nachiketa Amanyata. So he thought so. He reflected like this. Amanyata means he reflected. Some thoughts entered his mind. He reflected like this. What did it say? How was it? Katham ityuchyate. So next mantra, time 2-3 minutes.
Yeah.
Pitodaka Jagdhatruna Dugdhadoha Nirindriyaha Anandana Mate Lokaha Tan Sagachati Tadadat. Okay, this boy is just reflecting in himself. So all these cows you see, they are past their prime. They are past their prime. So they have pitodakaha. What all quota of water they had to drink, they had eaten, they had taken. What all quota of water in their life they were supposed to take, they have taken. And jagdha trunaha. Truna means grass. Jagdha truna means what all eaten. Those who have eaten whatever they had to eat. So if you see, suppose you invite an old man for lunch or dinner, and then you keep on serving food. So this man says, no, I cannot take this. I have a sugar factory in me. Or he will say, no, my quota is over. What all I had to eat, I have eaten. I can eat only one pulka now. So he will say. So he is in that stage, that jagdha trunaha. So an old person who is unable to eat, he cannot take anything more. What all quota he has to take, he had already finished. So like that is, in that sense it is. So this boy is thinking about the predicament of his father. What exactly is the predicament of my father? So this chap is giving pitodakaha. So what all, even they are not in a position to drink water also. Then jagdha trunaha. They have even regarding this feed, cattle feed, they are not in if there is a young cow, it will eat with all vigor and then it will give some milk, it will feed the calf, so all that is there. But these are all old cows, they are not even fit enough to eat properly. So Jagdha Trunaha, Dugdha Dohaha, what all milk they had to give, they had already given. So they are no longer fit enough to give milk. Dugdha Dohaha, Dugdha is what milk, Dugdha Doha is the dugdham is something which has already been milked. Dugdha doha, all the whatever milk had to be milked from them, it has already been milked. Then nirindriyaha, all these indriyams, all their indriyams means all their limbs here. They don't refer to senses, maybe senses also. Or nirindriyaha, they are also past their reproductive stage. All that indriya, prajanana shakti, that indriya shakti, all that energy of the limbs, they have all become weak and then they are past their reproductive age. Then, anandanama te lokaha tansa gacchati ta dadat. Taha dadat. Taha means those cows. Taha means sa te taha. Taha refers to cows. Taha, those cows, ta dadat. While by giving those cows, Anandanama te lokaha sa gacchati. So by giving those lokas, sa gacchati means he will go. He goes to what type of lokas? Anandanama lokaha. That is, he will go to some unpleasant worlds only. That is, he is going to have some unpleasant births only. Lokaha, we know what is lokaha. Lokyante iti lokaha janmani. We read in Shankaracharya's Bhashyam in Ishavasya Upanishad. Lokaha do not mean some three-dimensional places which are there somewhere in the sky or space. They are our own stages of, our own states of being. It is a state of experience. It is a state of experience or it is a state of janma. Loka is lokyante, bhujyante, karma phalani iti lokaha janmani. That is what he says. That is karma phalam in the shape of a janma. Karma phalam in the form of a particular measurable state of existence, that itself is loka. A person becomes very miserable after doing some bad deeds, so that itself is a bad loka. A person in the next birth he is born as some pig or some other say dog or something like that, so that is another miserable state of being. So that is one loka. So loka does not refer to any something supernatural somewhere in this space. Loka means only a state of existence. So my father is going to get some loka, some stage of existence which will be totally ananda. Nanda means happiness. Ananda is bereft of happiness. He is going to stay or he is going to acquire or get some miserable lokas. He is going to acquire some miserable state of existence by giving away all these things. Because when these dakshinas are given, the people who accept those dakshinas, they will take anyway. They will take, but then they will curse within. They will curse within, this fellow has given such stupid cows. So that they will necessarily curse all the people. So because of that, this man is going to get only some miserable lokas. So this is what this boy thought. So we'll see in the next class. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So we will have this Kathopanishad class both on Tuesday and on Thursday, because there are about 130 odd mantras. If we take only, if we do only once in a week, we may take more than 6 months, and moreover, by the next week, the person who is hearing, he would have forgotten what is there in the earlier, what was told in the earlier class. So this link will be very loose. So that is why we will have on 2 days a week.